Hi everyone, this is Sam with Wine News in 5. I apologize for any coughs or sneezes. I'm not feeling well and it has taken a lot of napping to get me here. Before I get to global news, I would like to remind all wine communicators who are listening that the deadline for the 67 Pall Mall Global Wine Communicators Awards is this Sunday, March 8th. As far as awards go, this is the Pulitzers of the wine world, so go dig up your audio, video, or written pieces and submit. In terms of global news, today I'll give you an update on Trump tariffs before discussing flooding in Bordeaux and Victoria, lawsuits in France over copper fungicides, the complete buyout of Freixenet Cava by Germany's Henkell Group, and bribery at Southern Glazers. First up, an update on Trump tariffs. As discussed here on February 20th, the Supreme Court of the United States ruled that the reciprocal tariffs the Trump administration imposed under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEEPA, were unconstitutional. Later that same day, the Trump administration issued an executive order to halt collections of tariffs imposed under IEEPA after midnight on February 24th. Trump then invoked Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974 to impose a temporary 10% global tariff effective at 12:01 a.m. on February 24th for the maximum allowable time period of 150 days. On March 4th, the U.S. Court of International Trade ordered Customs and Border Protection to issue refunds for tariffs collected under IEEPA. On March 5th, a coalition of 24 U.S. states sued the Trump administration on the grounds that the new 10% tariffs imposed under Section 122 of the Trade Act are also illegal, that the law is not meant to address trade imbalances, and that only Congress has the power to impose sweeping tariffs. In the last year, the strain of the IEEPA tariffs and declining consumption has caused producers, importers, and distributors to downsize and close at an unprecedented rate. The tariffs have raised costs not only for businesses selling international wines, but have also raised equipment costs for domestic producers and resulted in fewer distribution options. The trade war lost U.S. wine producers their largest export market when, just over 1 year ago, Canada banned U.S. alcohol in response to Trump's tariffs, resulting in a 78% contraction in exports last year, year over year, and a $357 million loss in export value. 81% of total global U.S. wine export losses in 2025 are attributed to Canadian bans. Next, flooding in Bordeaux and Victoria. The end of February marked the end of a record-breaking 40 consecutive days of rain for France. Bordeaux received 321 millimeters, which is 12.6 inches of rain in 1 month, more than projected for the entirety of winter. On February 23rd, the publication Vitisphere reported that this has resulted in flooding in numerous vineyards. Producers are not overly worried about their vines, which are currently dormant, but have reported that this has resulted in delays in pruning and in shipments. Unfortunately, Victoria in Australia has been much harder hit. Mildura in northern Victoria received 150 millimeters of rain in 1 week, compared with 159 millimeters in all of 2025. With harvest just around the corner, heavy crop losses are expected. Tennille Chalmers of Chalmers Winery in Murray-Darling stood in her flooded vineyards while telling 7 News that the threat of botrytis is high and could absolutely ruin the crop. It seems that rain in southern Victoria, while significant, was not as detrimental. If you have more information, please email news@jancesrobinson.com. On to lawsuits in France over copper fungicides. As reported earlier this year, organic producers in France have been reeling since ANSES, the French Agency for Food, Environmental and Occupational Health and Safety, banned most of the 22 available copper-containing fungicides. On February 23rd, during the Paris International Agricultural Show, the National Confederation of AOC Wine Producers, the CNAOC, the National Federation of Organic Agriculture, the FNAB, and the National Interprofessional Association of Organic Wines, France Vin Bio, announced their support for all companies that have filed or intend to file briefs with administrative courts which challenge the ANSES ban. 5 companies are reportedly taking legal action. Bernard Farge, president of the National Committee of Interprofessional Organization of Wines with Appellation of Origin or Geographical Indication, the CNIV, called the ban unenforceable and irresponsible. For the moment, there remains no fungicide that is as effective or affordable as copper at treating downy mildew. While there are a handful of biological alternatives making their way to market, none has the long-term track record that copper does. Next, the complete buyout of Freixenet Cava by Germany's Henkell Group. In 2018, Henkell acquired 50.6% of Freixenet. On March 2nd, the Ferrer family and José Luis Bonet, descendants of Freixenet's original founders, sold the remaining shares to Henkell, completing the transfer of ownership. Finally, bribery at Southern Glazers. On March 4th, a federal grand jury in Oakland, California, indicted 5 employees of Southern Glazers, the largest beverage distributor in the U.S., and 1 Napa winery salesman for engineering a multi-year bribery scheme to control which wines received placement on California supermarket shelves. According to the United States Attorney's Office, employees came up with a scheme to provide bribes to employees of retail grocery chains to increase the purchases of certain alcohol brands and to obstruct any investigations into the bribes by creating and maintaining false financial documents. While the distributor in the documents is listed only as Distributor 1, all employees listed are current or former Southern Glazers employees. That's all for this episode of the Wine News. If you enjoy this newscast and you'd like to see it continue, please become a member of jancesrobinson.com. And if you have breaking news in your area, please email news@jancesrobinson.com. Thanks.